Hello, this is Angelia, and you are listening to or watching the podcast Why You Do What You Do, the podcast that talks about human development and psychology to maybe help you figure out a little bit more about why you do what you do. And last time we were talking about gender and how that might affect you, and we're going to take up on that again. Women's greater tendency to seek medical care does not necessarily mean that women, are in worse health than men, nor that they are imagining ailments or preoccupied with illness. Women are just in better touch with our bodies. We have more nerve endings. We feel more. They may simply be more health conscious, which we are. Women generally know more than men about health, think and do more about preventing illness, are more aware of symptoms and susceptibility, and are more likely to talk about their medical worries. Whereas men, my husband's kind of doing that nowadays, pretend they're fine. Everything's fine, there's no troubles, they're fine. And then we know they're not, but, what are you going to do about them? Men may feel that illness is not masculine, and thus may be less likely to admit that they do not feel well. And that's a macho thing, where they can't admit, that they're not okay. It may be that the better care women take of themselves helps them live longer than men. Sorry, guys. It might behoove you to take care of yourself and you live as long as we do. However, public awareness of men's health issues has increased. The availability of impotence treatment and of screening tests for prostate cancer is bringing more men into doctors' offices. And of course, it is. Men are more worried about performing well than they are about their heart and, lungs and everything else. Brains. So, now that doctors have a little pill to help them perform, they're more willing to go talk to a doctor. Meanwhile, as women's lifestyles have become more like men's, so in some ways have their health patterns. So like I said, the more women are eating the unhealthy foods, the, hamburgers and fries and, fat steaks and things, at restaurants or at home. I actually had steak last night. We had bison medallions, but I did not have any fat on mine. My husband left a line on his because that's a man for you. But I never eat fat on my meat. I always trim it and cut it. I hate the taste of fat. If you fool me with, like the macaroni cheese and, butter and things, okay. But as far as actual fat, I hate that taste. That's why I don't eat hamburger, because I can taste that fat and it's disgusting to me. I just never have liked it. Women now account for 39% of all smoking-related deaths in the United States. So women, unfortunately, are catching up to the men on the smoking. More women die of lung cancer than any type of other cancer, including breast cancer. So, if you're a woman and you're smoking, now's probably a good time for you to stop. The gap between men's and women's use of alcohol and illicit drugs has also narrowed. So women are taking up drugs more too. And, that's not good. We all need to be going the other way. As has the gender gap in deaths from heart disease. So more and more women, are getting heart disease. Such trends help explain why the difference between women's and men's life expectancy shrank from 7.8 years in 1979 to 5.4 years in the year 2002. So, excuse me. It's really hot here. The allergies are still pretty bad. So, women are going the wrong way in the health department. Relationships and health. Personal relationships seem to be vital to health, And that's true. No man is an island, as they say, and we are social creatures. We're meant to socialize. And if you're not having social relationships, that will affect your mental and emotional health. People isolated from friends and family are twice likely to fall ill and die as people who maintain social ties. And that's why, a lot of loners don't live to be very old, because, they don't feel that sense of community. They feel like they're on their own and it doesn't matter what they do or how they behave. Of course, because the research is correlational, we cannot be sure that relationships contribute to good health. Because, there's so many other factors. It may be that healthy people are more likely to maintain relationships. Because if you feel good about yourself, then you feel good about others and your place in the world. And you're more likely to have healthy relationships. Why is it that what is it that can't talk today? What is it about relationships that might promote good health? Social ties may foster a sense of meaning or coherence in your life, because it means you have a place. There was a song that was pretty good years ago that a lot of the religious community came down on the guy for, but it's called, My Place in the World. And everybody has a place in the world, and you feel best and healthiest when you are living your place in the world. So, if you haven't, oh my goodness, excuse me, I swear, it's hot and allergy day. Ugh. But, oh my. Now's a good time to do some self-exploration if you haven't, and figure out what your place in the world is. Emotional support may help minimize stress. And we all know that's true. If you're around supportive people, then your life is easier. You have a support system. If you're around negative, unsupportive people, you're going to have the other feeling. You're not going to feel supported. You're going to feel anxious and stressed out. And, that's going to cause you to have mental and emotional problems. People who are in touch with others may be more likely to eat and sleep sensibly, get enough exercise, avoid substance abuse, and get necessary medical care, because you have people that you care about in your life. So you want to be there for them and with them. So that, of course, it's common sense. Married people, especially men, tend to be healthier physically and, in some research, psychologically than those who are never married, widowed, separated, or especially divorced. So if the man's got a good woman, oh my goodness, and she's being good to him, then he's going to be a lot happier than, somebody else who's not in a good relationship, or, is never in a relationship. I know some men like that, they just can't do it. It actually helps you to be healthier if you are in a good, supportive, loving relationship. Contrary to previous beliefs, marriage seems to be as good for wives' mental health as for husbands. And that's, the same kind of deal. If you have a good, supportive, loving spouse, that's going to make you feel better about your life. This conclusion comes from a study of a random sample of 10,604 Australian adults. The study found that men are more likely to have substance use disorders, while women are more likely to have anxiety or depression, and marriage equally reduces the risk of both. So this was a twofold study they did here on this. Probably was a coincidental thing. They were studying this one thing and found out that the married people were doing better. Being married to a good spouse, makes a difference in your life. 1 in 4 of the divorce participants had emotional problems. And that goes, without saying, because that alone will give you some emotional problems. Married people also tend to be better off financially, and that's because usually you have 2 incomes coming in, and you might be having retirement income and things of that nature. So You know, two is better than one. A factor associated with physical and mental health. In a study of more than 36,000 men and women aged 25 to 64, gnat buzzing around here. Married people were less likely to die than unmarried. So, you know, it's true. Married people who are having a good marriage live longer. However, people with high incomes, married or single, were more likely to survive than were married people with low incomes. So the money situation does make a difference. The highest mortality was among low income singles. So if you are poor, socioeconomic depressed, and don't have a mate, any support systems, you're in a bad spot. Marriage is related differently to mental and physical health in husbands than in wives. In a 7-year longitudinal survey of 1,201 young white middle-class adults, men who got married and stayed married were less likely to become depressed, and the women who did so were less likely to develop alcohol problems than those who remained single. So, like I say, usually these little things where it's mixed like that, they started one study and realized there were other correlational things going on that they, come up with some statistics on. So, oh my gosh. Sexual and reproductive issues. All right, kiddies, don't giggle. Sexual and reproductive activity can bring pleasure and sometimes parenthood. I think we all know that. And if you don't know that, you need to go talk to somebody and figure that one out. So, that's why we need to keep up with our kids, because they figure out sex does feel good, but that doesn't mean you're ready for it. And, we don't need babies having babies. These natural and important functions also may involve physical concerns, because a younger person's body is not mature yet, so you shouldn't be doing those things. There are such concerns as premenstrual syndrome, PMS. A lot of us women, we know about that. That's why I joke about my chocolate stash in there, and I was like, the world does not want me to not have my chocolate, trust me. Sexually transmitted diseases, and like I say, you need to talk to your youngsters about that they're out there, and it only takes once to catch something. And infertility, because that is a thing. I mean, there's couples who are infertile. I know of some people, and that's a shame, especially if they really want to have children. Premenstrual syndrome. Guys are always wondering. This might be for you to listen up. Premenstrual syndrome, PMS, is a disorder that produces physical discomfort and emotional tension during the 1 to 2 weeks before a menstrual period. And I've heard the men's jokes about, if anything bleeds for a week and lives, you should kill it. Yeah, haha, you're funny. But yeah, if you can imagine it, when you have a stomach ache or something and you're bloated and you feel bad, or imagine feeling like that for like 2 weeks. You're not happy about it. Symptoms may include fatigue, food cravings, headaches, swelling and tenderness of the breasts, swollen hands and feet, abdominal bloating, nausea, constipation, weight gain, anxiety, depression, irritability, mood swings, tearfulness, and difficulty concentrating or remembering. So that's PMS for you. Sounds like a lot of fun, doesn't it? No. PMS typically affects women in their 30s or older. Now, younger women do have it too, so don't discount the younger ladies. It just really actually depends on genetics and the level of estrogen that you have in your system. Up to 70% of menstruating women may have some symptoms, but in fewer than 10% do they create significant health problems that need to be treated. So a lot of us have symptoms like that, but a lot of them are not so bad that you have to go have any type of treatment for them. Although some people believe PMS has emotional origins, a double-blind study established that some people believe PMS has it, but that it is as... Oh my gosh, I'm going to sneeze. I can't read while I'm trying to sneeze here. It is an abnormal response to normal monthly surges of the female hormones, estrogen and progesterone. So you guys who are saying it's emotional, you're wrong. You just heard it. It's a fact out of a school book. So, but yeah, our hormones get out of whack, just like, you know, teenagers coming up, because our body was getting prepared to make a baby and it didn't get to. So then it's, you know, not super happy and it's purging, you know, the womb that would have held it. And so, yeah, we can get pretty mean and nasty and cranky. And, you know, that's where I'm going to leave you today. So I hope that helped you figure out maybe a little bit more about why you do what you do. Please like and share this educational program. If you want to help me out, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to help me out even more, go to my Patreon page and become a patron. That's all for now on this hot allergy reading day. Until next time.